Hello and welcome back. Today we are continuing with the Hachette Partworks Dalek from Doctor Who. The latest package has arrived with issues 20 through 26. Additionally included was also a mug, which I believe was one of the free gifts with the set. To be honest, I completely forgot this was even one of the offerings and that it was still outstanding. So it was a pleasant surprise. Just a generic coffee mug. The blue's probably a little darker than I would have thought for a TARDIS mug, but it's a free gift, so you're not really going to complain. Anyway, getting down to the magazine, we get our standard front cover. Inside we have our contents, a look at Genesis of the Daleks Part 5 in Adventures in Time and Space. The Time Vortex gives us Dalek Invasions. And then we are on to assembly of our mid-section. So, without any further ado, let's bring in our assembly pieces and get to assembling. I'm going to need my screwdriver. Part 23, which has our connector piece, our side panel, and our sets of screws. So we get AP and FP screws, so you get a whole bunch of FP screws. So that's our FP screws, and here is our AP screws. AP screws there. Okay, so first up is taking our previous assembly piece and connecting our side panel just by sliding it down from the bottom until helps us up the right way. So slide it down from the bottom until the piece is, come on, until the pieces slot together, and then it's 3 of the FP screws. Sorry, 4 of the FP screws even. One of them. That's it. There we go. That is two. And that's the 4 assembled there. Then we need to bring in and connect this. So this just clips over the screw panels like so. And then it's another set of FP screws. That one. This one. So did anyone else see that season 13 is the next set announced for release as part of the collection Blu-ray? I am so excited for that. Such an excellent season with so many classic stories, from Terror of the Zygons to The Seeds of Death, Seeds of Doom, Android Invasion, plus the Terror of the Zygons, Android Invasion, Pyramids of Mars. So I am really excited to get that one. And then I think I saw a rumour the one after that may even be season 21, which would complete Peter Davidson's collection off and give us very few seasons left to have released, at least in colour. I know William Hartnell's and Patrick Troughton's are something else to be considered. And then 1, 2, 3, don't need that. 4. Then we need to bring in the electric panels, or whatever you want to call them, from previous issue, and plug these in and then screw them into place. So these are always such a fit. Bigger hole. I think that's it. Let's give this a try. There's a slight typing error with the instructions telling you need to fit 4 FP screws. However, we're completely out of FP screws, and the only screws remaining are the APs. And the previous ones were fitted with APs, so that is not in properly. that's it. So let's see. Yes, that's that one. That one. Same for the second one. That's it. I think that is it. We'll see. One, two, three. Yep, that is in. There we go. So that was a little fiddly, but we got there in the end. And then this is part 23 complete. This piece likes to come out. Put that back in. There we go. Those back in, and that is part 23 all done. Coming up in the next issue is the neck area continuing, along with Time Vortex and Adventures in Time and Space. So let's move along to that, shall we? Move you out of the way. Get rid of all these spare bits and pieces. And here we have part 24. We get our contents. Part 2 of Power of the Daleks in Adventures in Time and Space. Dalek Duplicity in the Time Vortex. And then we get our assembly instructions. So, bringing in part 24, opening it up. We then get our 2 containers. Some FP screws, which are the flathead ones, and some AP screws, which are these ones. AP screws, FP screws, that goes in the bin. Get some other core piece, and for assembly all we are doing here is taking this quartz barrels, containers, that's what they're called, and connecting them to the wall. They are angled, so you want the thinner end facing downwards. No, actually, sorry, you have them facing up. It doesn't look right. It does not. Take the upper part of the rear wall, position the containers on the inside of the wall so that the raised screw sockets in the kit. So I'd say by the instructions the containers narrowing in goes at the top, however I don't think they fit that way. No, the only way to get them to fit is with the screw ports facing definitely that facing down. This is definitely weird. I can't quite work out which way these should be going. I don't know how important it is if they go up a wrong way. Yeah, I definitely think they are supposed to be narrow end at the top. Let's give this a try and see what happens. Yeah, okay, so narrow end facing towards the top. That's one of them, and the second one, narrow end facing towards the top. Take our screws. Then once we've screwed this in, it will be connecting to the top of this, so it will create a second level for the inner housing. Those are both fit nice and snug. Let's bring this in. Let's connect. So this just slides over the top like so. And then our AP screws will screw it into place with 4 of them. Or for the last one, 4. And there is part 24 fully assembled. Moving on to the next issue, we will get another neck piece with part 25. Anatomy of the Daleks. We'll look at the Imperial Daleks, as will Adventures in Time and Space. So, again, let's clear our little workspace and move on to part 25. Part 25. Remembrance of the Daleks for Adventures in Time and Space. Sorry, that's part 4 of Remembrance of the Daleks. Then assembly is exactly as it was for the first round. So bring in part 25. Part 25. Our 2 connectors. Our AP screws, which we'll need in a minute. Connector and RFP screws, which we'll also need in a moment. So first up, let's screw in parts. There we go, let's get rid of that. So again, these are going up at an angle. Says, there it is, I think. Yeah, that's that. That one's situated. Let's get our first screw. Our first screw. That's not in at all. Okay, let's try that again. It's definitely now on properly. So I think, okay, I've just realised these are numbered with a tiny 1 and 2 inside. I think facing this way, 1 goes on the outside. Let's try that. That would explain some of the weirdness and not being able to get them quite lined up. There we go. Yes, that's made all the difference. So be mindful that they are numbered and they do have a position to go into. While it's detailed in the picture of the instruction, it isn't actually worded as such in the instructions themselves. So that's fitting on properly. There we go. That's it. That's it. Let's get another screw. Same again. This one screwed in. Bringing in our innards, this slots on into place like so, and we'll screw in with 4 FP screws as per the previous assembly. Two. 3. 4. There we go, and that is part 25 all done, and this is certainly coming along. It's definitely going to be a very, very big piece when it's all said and done. Coming up in part 26 is 13 connection cable wires for various sizes, a wire connecting cap plus integrator for 5 fixing screws. So let's move along and take a look at part 26. Adventures in Time and Space gives us the ambush, which is episode 8 of season 1. So that's part 4 of the Daleks, or the mutants, whichever way you call that serial. Anatomy of the Daleks gives us a look at the genesis of the Dalek. Then the midsection looks like this. So bringing in box 26, which has been double taped. So let's make sure we get everything. Okay, so here we get our integrator and cap. We get we get 4 of our wires. So these are just solid plastic cabling wires, rather than any actual electric circuitry by the looks of things. 2 more wires, so that's 6. Six, 7, 8, 9. Again, these are just solid plastic, so be careful, don't bend them and break them. And 10, 11, 12, 13. And then our GP screws. I'm going to leave the screws in the package until we actually need them, which is actually the very first thing to do. So that is fine. We need our screws. We need our wire cap, and this comes in and will connect here to will act as a securing point for the 2 panels as well. Turning this around, we need to get 4 of our screws screw this into place. So 1, 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's all of that connected nice and tight. Right. Let's sort out our cables to make sure we've got the right ones in the right order so we don't mix these up. Get rid of that screw. Put the cap to one side. Right, okay, so we should have right, so these are F by the looks of things. No, those are F, so the F's look like the J's. Okay, then we should have A, right, I believe that is B. And that is D, which makes this one C. Right, we then have J and K. M and there should be another one like that, which would be no, that one's N, that one's M, this one has got to be the smallest one has to be E, which would make these G. Okay, so technical tip. You may find it easier to fit the cable connections in the following steps if you remove the support from the brackets fitted in issue 18 as shown here. Once the connections have been fitted, refit. Okay, so let's see what happens, shall we? And I think it is going to be easier to remove, but we will see. So 3, we take part N, which is this one. and this will slide down here. Well, that's in, but it's not. Okay, so I'm lining up at the wrong point. Okay, so this goes into the bottom, and then there is a connecting point. Not sure that's definitely right. Yep. Interestingly, it's not getting this into the bottom, which has proven to be a problem. It is getting it into the side panel. That is in. And then should just plug into here, but there it is. There we go, that's our first one in. N, M is the same. So you want to. Yep, that one's that in, and nope. In. These all feel like they're a millimetre too long for actually sitting it. There we go. Sort of, I think that one's. There we go. That's it. There you want to fit in there. There we go. Sort of. No. There it is. That's that one fitted in. Next is J. This one, which will go here, and then K will go the other side. Okay, so this slides down. This one here. That one was nice and easy. Simple. And K. Goes here. That's that one in, and that plugs in. So the easiest thing I've found is to lie this down on its side. It's a little easier than trying to feed them in from the top. Okay. H and E. Okay, so E fits down into the bottom and then uses the wire cap to plug into the here. So let's see what goes where. Okay, so that plugs into the thicker end, and the thinner plug goes all the way down to the bottom. Now this one's a little more awkward because the seat is in the way. There it is. And that plugs in like that. And then E plugs in there. The two G wires fit into either side here, and it looks like there is left unclipped. Two cables can run from the containers here to the foot. Pegs on the ends and parts of D-shaped fittings correspond. Right, so you want the D-shaped ends. And again, like that. That's it. There we go, that plugs in like so. You may wish to tape these down. I might do that, I haven't decided yet. We'll see how awkward they become. Then the remaining cables are not fitted at this stage, so we can store those away safely until a future issue. So that is this month's Dalek build. That was interesting enough, nothing overly exciting or challenging, but it's certainly coming along now. All the bits are starting to come together. I do wish there was some paint apps inside of this. I feel like a silver here wouldn't be too bad, or something. I might even go away and actually put a silver paint on that just to bring it out a bit more. As for part 27, we were getting a neck wall section, 2 switches and the necessary bits to fit them into position. So there we have the Dalek build. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, stay safe